Hey guys, so today I'm going to do another video game ranking, and this is going to be my top 30 video games that I played on my channel that was released in 2019. So yeah, 2019, that was the last year before COVID, and I remember that being a fairly unstable year for my life. However, I still found some time to play video games, and I do have a top 30, and yeah, it's going to be my top 30 favorite video games that were released in 2019 that I played on my channel. I played thousands of video games on my channel, so this should be pretty interesting to go through. And again, it's my own opinion. It's very subjective, so this is just going to be my list. So yeah, if you guys are interested, stay tuned, and we'll find out what's my favorite 30 favorite video games that were released in 2019. And yes, remasters and re-releases do count as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so we're going to start off with an honorable mention, as I always do in these kind of ranking videos. And the honorable mention is going to be Borderlands 3, a game that I played extensively in 2019 with my friend. The thing is, I did play a lot of this game, and I beat it actually back in 2019 with my friend, but I have to say it didn't quite make my list because I just felt like this game didn't stand out all that much in terms of being a Borderlands game. And when it's fun to play with friends, just because every Borderlands game is fun to play with friends, like it's really meant to be played co-op, and yeah, looter shooters are always kind of fun to play. Of course, I mean, if I was playing this by myself, I wouldn't be having much fun. I think it's just because I played with my friend that I did have some fun with it. Which is why I think I'm still going to mention it. It's still a fun game to play with friends. It's just that I feel like it's just definitely not like the best Borderlands game. I think Borderlands 2 or even the pre-sequel I had more fun with than Borderlands 3. So it's not really, I mean, it's fine, but I wouldn't call it like a great Borderlands game. And it just felt like very forgettable, actually. Like the yeah, the enemies and main villain of this one was quite forgettable compared to number 2, which had Handsome Jack. So anyways, I have to mention Borderlands 3 because I did play this a lot in 2019 with my friend. I still had fun with it, but it just wasn't, yeah, it wasn't the most memorable Borderlands game. So yeah, but still will mention it here. Starting off at number 30 is Pathologic 2, a horror game actually that came out that year, and this one I think deals with the plague. I think so. You have these plague doctors with these masks, right? This is what the masks that plague doctors wore during the Black Plague, and so that's kind of like, it just looks kind of creepy by itself, these masks. And then yeah, the actual gameplay where you're kind of looking like these Studio Ghibli Spirited Away type guys here. Yeah, that's kind of creepy just seeing them. Yeah. Yes, it is kind of creepy seeing those guys, and yeah, overall, oh man, I remember the combat being quite terrible in this game.
Yeah, it looks like it's got like different frame or something. What's going on? Can't tell from it.
Yeah, I just say it's a bit confusing what happens to me in this game. It is like kind of scary at times, which is why I actually had it on my top 30 horror games list. So it does get kind of scary sometimes, but it's also a little bit hard to figure out what's going on sometimes. It's a bit confusing.
Let's try to loot them with all looting water.
Yeah, and then they, oh yeah, they burn this witch. Yeah, so definitely a little bit of a strange game, but also, yeah, kind of terrifying sometimes. I mean, it's a horror game after all, so I'm gonna mention it because, yeah, my number 30, because, yeah, it is kind of horrifying at times, like what the heck is going on here, and also kind of weird, and yeah, bit of a strange game to play at times, but creepy nonetheless. So it is, I guess it does what it sets out to do, which is creep me out. Okay, following up is number 29 is another horror game from first-person perspective, Close to the Sun, which I think is kind of like if you took BioShock and you lean more into the horror aspect. And BioShock already has horror elements in it, but you lean more into the horror aspect and you get Close to the Sun, basically. So yeah, like the whole environment and everything does remind me of BioShock, right? Because it's kind of like the early 1900s with the aesthetic here. Yeah, early 1900s. But you also have, like, you know, all this like high tech. See, there's like this Nikola Tesla stuff. So it's kind of got like the Bioshock retro futuristic vibes to it, but it leans more in the horror aspect, right? You see, like, oh, nobody's here. The monsters, I would say, is not like it's psychological horror because you don't like immediately see a bunch of monsters or anything like that. But there definitely is like an unsettling vibe with the environment and the ambience when you play this game. So yeah, actually I like this a lot as a horror game. I didn't exactly have it on my I didn't have it in my top 50 horror games list, unfortunately. But this one, now looking back on it, I think maybe I should have had it there, because it is actually quite disturbing with the ambience. So yeah, anyways, I think I just kind of this game just kind of got overlooked, I think. So yeah, even when I look back on it, I was like, yeah, this is actually a pretty good horror game, and I love the aesthetic. That reminds me of yeah, the BioShock aesthetic, honestly, like Rapture, you know, that late 1800s, early 1900s type of aesthetic, and you combine that with an unsettling type of atmosphere and vibe, and yeah, it's a pretty good first-person horror game from my perspective, and I really do like the setting as well. So yeah, probably should have made my top 50 horrors. Look, that was pretty scary, right? That was pretty scary. I didn't see like really anyone else on the ship, but then suddenly you see something like that. So it didn't quite make my top 50 horror list. Maybe it should have, but now that I look back on it, yeah, it is a really good horror game for the time. So yep, I think it does make my list of 2019 games at least. Alright, so number 28 is Crackdown 3. This is an open world game that's, of course, a sequel to Crackdown 1 and 2. And it has been a while since I played a Crackdown game, I think, when this came out. Like, Crackdown 2 came out, like, when? In, like, the mid to late 2000s, I think? I remember playing Crackdown 2 back when I was in university. So Crackdown 3 got released after like a long time in development, I think, because it's been a while since they had a Crackdown game. Originally I think was Microsoft exclusive, because I remember this being an Xbox exclusive. Yeah, so Crackdown, the thing is, like, it is an open world game, and it came out during a time when like open world games were really popular. And you had like all these other open world games where you play as a guy with superheroes or superpowers, right? So like, yeah, basically you have a bunch of open world games at that time. It was kind of a trend where you release an open world game, kind of like GTA, but then you add like some twist onto it, like, oh, you play as a guy with superpowers. This is what happened to Prototype 1 and 2. Remember those games? And Infamous, remember those games? Yeah, that's what happened in those games as well, and Saints Row 4 as well. So Crackdown came out kind of during that time, and so yeah, Crackdown 3 is pretty much more of that. You play as an agent with superpowers, essentially. So, well, I wouldn't say like necessarily as, you know, explicit superpowers like you get in Prototype or Infamous, but still, you play as essentially somebody who levels up and then gets other abilities and stuff like that. And then the rest is kind of like a GTA type thing, right? And it's in the future, so you drive like futuristic cars and everything. So I think it has got a cool setting, right? The futuristic setting and being open world. The problem with Crackdown, with all the Crackdown games I find, is that it doesn't really have much depth to it. I mean, I played it with my friend here, and we beat it together, Crackdown 3. Back in 2019, but I just felt like it didn't have that much depth to it. It was kind of a shallow game. Like it's one of those games where it's like, oh, it looks cool on the outside, right? Like being able to like drive futuristic cars and power yourself up and just jump around these like futuristic buildings and stuff. But there's not much soul to this game, I would say. Like it's all kind of shallow because it all ends up just being kind of a facade. Like you go around the city and everything, but like, yeah, it's like not like GTA in the sense like GTA 5 you can interact so much with the world, but in Crackdown 3 it's like you can't really interact too much with the world. It's like kind of all this stuff that you're jumping around, and it's kind of just for show, you know. You can't actually go inside most of these buildings and stuff, so it's like you can just jump on top of them, but you can't really go inside. So it's like kind of a shallow world, I find. But I mean, still nice to play a Crackdown game, and it's still fun to play with friends. So it's still here in my list, but it's not really a deep game, I would say. It's just shallow on the surface. It looks cool, like an interesting setting and world, but the world is not fleshed out. Is what I'm talking about. Yeah. I would have liked it if they fleshed out the world more, but none of the Crackdown games really fleshed out the worlds. Actually, that's the issue with a lot of GTA clones in general. They didn't flesh the world out. They just have this Prototype and Infamous is the same thing. You have like this nice world, but yeah, it's not fleshed out. Agents of Mayhem, same thing, right? Sometimes Just Cause as well. It's like the same thing. Like the world's not exactly fleshed out. It's just a big world that you can play around it. That's it, like a sandbox. Alright, 27 is Control by Remedy. So this one is kind of like, I want to say like this is like Max Payne with superpowers. Because it is by the same company developer that made Max Payne. So it's got sort of like that noirish vibe to it. But it's also like, it's also sci-fi as well. Because you get like, you got psychic powers and stuff as well. Yeah, at least you'll also get gunplay and stuff. So anyways, I remember this game was fairly hyped when it came out, and yeah, when I played it, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's like one of my all-time games or anything like that. It's not really an all-time game for me, but I still prefer Max Payne 1 and 2. But it's still an interesting game. Those are still good games, right? So that's why I gotta highlight Control here. Yeah, and it's got some horror vibes and stuff to this game as well. So yeah, I guess that's what I feel about Control. Is like this game was pretty acclaimed when it came out. It was pretty hyped up and acclaimed. I never felt like it was really that memorable to me though. It was like, yeah, it's like Max Payne with paranormal stuff basically. That's what it felt like to me. Not to say that's bad. Of course, it's still a pretty good game, but I guess I never really bonded with it the way that some other people did. But still a good enough game for me to put it on my list, right? It's still a Control. Like, if you can think about the story and the atmosphere and everything, and yeah, the paranormal stuff going on, also the graphics, which was one of the first to use ray tracing at the time. Yeah, all in all, it's still a pretty solid game, so that's why it's on this list. Okay, so 26 is AI the Somnium Files, and this is the first of a few visual novels you guys will see on this list, because 2019 I played a bunch of visual novels that I liked. AI the Somnium Files is, it's interesting. I mean, it's both weird and interesting, as you would expect, I guess, from the... from Spike Chunsoft, really, because I think that's the developer of this game. Spike Chunsoft makes a lot of quirky visual novels, let's just say. But AI the Somnium Files focuses more on investigation, but also it's got more gameplay as well. I wouldn't say it's like a pure visual novel because it's got investigative gameplay to it. And actually you can move around your character as well, so that's something different. So yeah, it's not like a pure visual novel. There is a lot of reading, of course, just like in other visual novels, but in this one you also gotta solve puzzles and you get to move your character around sometimes. You get to do some investigation, and it's got quirky characters as you would expect from Spike Chunsoft. But yeah, overall, it's not bad. I prefer the sequel, Nirvana Initiative, more, but the original Somnium Files is still pretty good too. Yeah. Yeah, look here, like you get to drive a car in this one, this sequence. Yeah. So overall, still had a good time playing it. It's definitely a different experience than most visual novels, let's just say. You have more interactive gameplay in this one. So yeah, and all the mysteries and the investigative actions that you can do in this one, and you can even move around sometimes. So there's that. I guess it's the same with Danganronpa, right? Which is another one of the Spike Chunsoft properties. I consider Danganronpa a visual novel too, but sometimes you do get to move around in Danganronpa as well. Yep, look at this creepy amusement park here. Oh my god. So yeah, a bit of a weird game, but that's what you expect from Spike Chunsoft. Still pretty interesting to play through. Yeah, so this is an area I can move around in. See. Yeah, so just like in Danganronpa, it's like a visual novel where you have more interaction and gameplay sometimes. Alright, so number 25 is Ion Fury. So this game was originally released as Ion Maiden, but of course they had to change it because of, you know, the band. So they ran into some issues there. But yeah, Ion Fury, I remember when the early access or the demo I think came out, and I was playing it, and I was like, yeah, this is a
at a lot of these.
This is really like an old school first person shooter, right? Because it's literally built on the same engine as the old school first person shooters. Because this was using Ken Silverman's build engine, which hasn't been used in over 20 years.
I like how this woman
that was the
says
same
stuff.
engine as classic
I mean, it's the
90s
same company.
games like Duke Nukem 3D or Shadow Warrior or Blood, Redneck Rampage. I think Power Slave as well. They all use the build engine. So yeah, it's been a long time since, of course, any newer games use that engine. But purposely, of course, Ion Fury uses this engine, and it's trying to get the same effect and gameplay as a 90s first-person shooter, especially from the mid-90s. And yeah, I think it does that really well. It really feels just like this came out of the mid-90s, you know? Like the Shadow Warrior Duke Nukem thing. And yeah, you play as a girl in this one. It feels like you're just a female version almost of Duke Nukem or a Lo Wang from Shadow Warrior. I know nowadays you have so many you have so many other first-person shooter games trying to be like the 90s style, right? There's so many of these out now, but back in 2018, 2019, when this came out, there wasn't really too many of the games that were trying to capture the feeling of old school FPS games, because, you know, like in the 2010s mostly, people were just all about the Halo style, the Call of Duty style, Battlefield, you know. That's what most games were trying to aim for. So yeah, when Ion Fury came out, I was so eager to get it because I loved 90s first-person shooter style, and this using the old school build engine, I mean, yeah, it looks great. So I would say if you're a fan of mid-90s first-person shooters, then definitely give Ion Fury a try. It plays and feels pretty much exactly like a mid-90s FPS game. Yeah, look at this Uzi. It looks very similar to the one you get in Shadow Warrior,
I'm really liking this game
right?
so far,
So,
except for the frame rate
good.
issues. I'm not sure.
24 is The Outer Worlds by Obsidian. This is a
It's not
game
exactly
that
like that. It's like not automatic. But
I think it
it's
was
that
like
slow down
fairly
time effect, which is cool.
like when it was it's pretty polished actually. When it came
you
out, I
can't
think a lot of people
exactly
really
choose
liked it.
which body
But
part
then I think over time it
more of an
kind of
RPG
became a little
game,
bit
in my
more
opinion.
forgotten and overlooked. Yeah, it's like I think especially when Starfield came out, I was like, oh, Starfield, that's Bethesda for you, right? They have so many bugs and stuff when they come out with their games. But Obsidian, look at this, right? It was pretty polished when it came out, Outer Worlds. But to be fair, the scope of this game is a lot smaller than Starfield as well. So, yeah. But yeah, Outer Worlds, when it came out, it was pretty fun actually. You know, it's almost like how they sold it was like Fallout New Vegas in space. But I mean, of course, it's not as great as New Vegas. I still think New Vegas is a better game. I mean, they try to create their own IPs around this time. Okay? Obsidian was trying to create their own IPs. Honestly, when they create their own IPs, it's just not quite as good as when they are using other people's IPs from other companies. Like Outer Worlds was fine. What is it? Pillars of Eternity. That was fine. It's decent. It's pretty good. None of them are like all time though. I wouldn't consider them like all-time RPGs. So their own IPs don't seem to be like all-time.
That's
But
the worst
still,
part of
yeah,
Fallout.
not bad for sure. Like a solid 75 out of 100 type of game. So yeah, it's still done pretty well, and it's quite polished and everything. I think it's just a little bit short. I think the world could be a little bit more expansive. So, and now it's kind of overlooked now. I think that people don't even talk about this game much anymore. Outer Worlds. I remember like people liked it when it came out, and now it's like, oh, but they don't talk about this game anymore. It's not as memorable as New Vegas for sure. 23 is Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch, which is actually a game that came out earlier for the PS3, but this is the Switch version, which did come out in 2019. So yeah, it counts, right? I'm counting remasters and re-releases. So anyways, Ni no Kuni, I think the game that made this, the reason why this game is got popular is because it's a collaboration with Studio Ghibli. So all the artwork and animation done in this game is it's Studio Ghibli, and you can kind of tell from this animation, right? This is just pure Studio Ghibli right here. And that's part of what makes Ni no Kuni kind of memorable and charming, is the characters and everything, and yes, the storyline as well. Yeah, it just feels like a Ghibli. Yeah, it's a Ghibli game. So essentially, that's what it is. So here, yeah, This is the type of thing that would happen in a Ghibli movie, isn't it? Right? You got fantastical stuff that would happen. I should be more specific here. A Miyazaki Ghibli movie, because the Takahata movies are a bit more serious. But the fantastical stuff that you usually think about when you think of Ghibli movies specifically is Miyazaki stuff. So yeah, this is what the game is built upon, the whole Ghibli fantasy type of setting here, and otherwise it's a nice JRPG. I would say the combat and everything is nothing really innovative, but just the art style and aesthetic, characters and story make it pretty charming. So I still like maybe Ni no Kuni 2 like a little bit better, but they're pretty close. They're both you know, solid 8 out of 10 type games, I would say.
This guy's clearly got
yeah, Ni no Kuni,
he's clearly not
Wrath
gonna
of
be
the White Witch here.
letting
Yeah, it's still pretty
people
solid
in the
JRPG, and yeah, this is the Switch release. That's why it's counts as part of my 2019 list here. The active mechanics, so it's like 22 is Grandia 2
It's turn-based,
HD.
but
So this is a re-release and
cannot understand
remaster
such a
of
slur.
Grandia 2. Yeah, so this game originally came out for Dreamcast, I believe. Grandia 2. So yeah, I like both Grandia games. I mean, Grandia 1 and 2 are both pretty much on the same tier, I would say. I prefer Grandia 2 maybe just a little bit more. But yeah, this is the remaster that came out in 2019 for the PC. And yeah, it's done pretty well. I mean, just it's what you expect from a remaster, right? Just upgraded resolution and widescreen support and controller support and everything. And for those of you guys who like Grandia 1 and 2, yeah, it's a pretty classic JRPG series here. It's solid. It's another one of those games where I'm like, oh, this is definitely an 8 out of 10 JRPG. You know, just all around pretty solid for characters, settings, combat, and everything. Yeah, I think that Grandia is not going to be like on my top tier of JRPGs.
There we go.
But
Okay, there's a hidden staircase
probably
there.
it's still going to be in my top 30, I would say. Yeah, still somewhere in my top 30. I think I did put this in my top 30 JRPGs actually. So, anyways, this is the best way to play Grandia 2 now is with this high definition remaster, which came out in 2019. So, it's done pretty well, I think. Okay, number 21 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, I remember like this game when it came out. It was like one of the best Star Wars games. Basically, immediately after it came out, people started talking about it, and as an action adventure title, yeah, one of the best in terms of being a Star Wars title, right? I mean, if you think of the great Star Wars games, which ones come to mind? Probably Knights of the Old Republic, which is an RPG. Maybe for me, like the original Battlefront 2 was really cool too, and the newer one in a sense. It's just EA added so many microtransactions to the newer ones, which sucked. But the core gameplay was still pretty fun in the newer ones. What else? Republic Commando. Yeah, the TIE Fighter games, I guess. It's like, what are the great Star Wars games? Super Star Wars. Like, the thing is, yeah, when this game came out, it really felt like, yeah, you're playing an original story with an original character in the Star Wars universe, and yeah, it's reflected here, and it's done fairly well. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed playing Fallen Order. I like Jedi Survivor even better, actually, but Fallen Order was already good. Like, this was already a good game. I felt like the pacing was a little bit slow in the beginning. I think that's probably why I didn't like it quite as much as Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor's pacing is quite fast because you're already kind of well, a full-blown Jedi, but here it's like you're just kind of like a Padawan type, you know. So you're still kind of like learning. So yeah, you're still kind of learning at the beginning here, which is why the pacing is a little bit slower in Fallen Order. But still a great Star Wars game. Yeah, one of my all-time favorites here. Yeah. Okay, number 20 is Apex Legends. This is a battle royale type of multiplayer game. First-person shooter, of course.
Apex Legends is more team-based.
Yeah, and I think as I noted here, yeah, Apex Legends is very team-based compared to something like... well, actually, I guess I didn't expect it to be as team-based as it was. I thought it was going to be like Fortnite, but I think it's more...
teammates are for a game that's...
It's more a team-based than Fortnite is, I would say. And not quite as much as Overwatch. Overwatch is very team-based, but Apex Legends is somewhere between Overwatch and Fortnite. So yeah, I actually enjoy this a lot more than Fortnite. I felt like Fortnite when I played it, it was just like what everyone said about it. It was like a bunch of like preteens playing that
like
game, and honestly, it's kind of silly to me, Fortnite. But Apex Legend was kind of the mature version, I guess, for like, you know, kids who are growing up a few years. But I enjoyed the Apex Legends. I think I actually won the very first match I played here. Yeah, so you're in like teams of 3 people, and yeah, I think ideally you should work together. But yeah, I think I did pretty decently in this round of Apex Legend. I found it pretty fun to play. Out of the Battle Royale games, I'm not like a huge fan of Battle Royale games. Like, I don't play PUBG or Fortnite, those games very much. But Apex Legends, yeah, it was actually better than I thought. I can understand why some people love playing this game. Now, I don't understand why people love playing Fortnite, but I do understand Apex Legends more. It's like, I just like it. I think it's a better, it's just a better game than Fortnite, I think, to me, anyways. So, anyways, yeah, I did enjoy playing this a lot. So that's Apex Legends 20. And of course, if you play with friends, right, it's gonna be pretty fun. More fun too. 19 is Halo Reach. So Halo Reach, of course, came out many years before for the Xbox 360. However, this version I'm playing is the PC remaster, essentially, or re-release that came with the Halo Master Chief Collection. I think this was one of the first, yeah, this was one of the first releases in that collection. In terms of the PC release, that is. I know that Master Chief Collection originally came out for Xbox One, but at least for the PC release here, this is one of the first releases that came with that collection. And Halo Reach is a great game. I feel like it does get overlooked sometimes because people focus, like, Halo 1, 2, and 3 were obviously such huge successes that it was hard to follow that up. And Halo 4 just wasn't considered as great. No, Halo Reach is good. It's yeah, not quite as impactful or influential, I would say, on the gaming industry as Halo 1, 2, or 3. But still, I think when it came out, like, people called it actually the best Halo game at that time. So yeah, somewhat I think that now it kind of gets a little bit overlooked. But yeah, Halo Reach is still a great game. I mean, it's really kind of the Halo franchise at its peak, you know, before people say that the Halo franchise has fallen down. It's not as good as it was before, but Halo Reach really represents Halo 3 and Halo Reach. Like, this is like mid to late 2000s ish. Really represented kind of the peak of Halo, I would say. But yeah, very fun game to play, especially obviously multiplayer. You know, it's fun to play. But the campaign is pretty decent as well. And yeah, they added enhanced the weapons a little bit. Classic battle rifle and the needler right there. Oh, and the classic vehicles, right? There we go. We got up the ghost here. So, anyways, some classic stuff. So Halo Reach, yeah. For me, it's definitely one of my favorite Halo games. I still like 2 and 3 more, but I think after 2 and 3, I actually like Halo Reach. Probably my top 3 Halo games after that. Okay, number 18 is Doom 2 Enhanced Edition. So this is a Unity port of Doom 2 that added widescreen support, controller support, enhanced the frame rate. Added a bunch of like remastered improvements essentially to Doom 2, which is one of the greatest first-person shooter games ever. It's like it's basically just an enhancement of Doom 1, which is an incredibly influential first-person shooter. So yeah, this is the enhanced version that came out in 2019. So it was done, I think, for the 25th anniversary of Doom 2. Now, the thing is, Bethesda and id Software did an even more updated version of Doom 1 and 2 called Doom 1 and 2 Remaster. So that came out in 2024 and kind of superseded this. So basically, this enhanced version is really there's no reason to play it anymore because you have an even better version that came out in 2024. But I mean, at the time in 2019, you didn't have that, right? So yeah, I mean, it's still a great release for the time, right? So for 2019, to have Doom 2 running in high resolution, widescreen with better frame rates and everything, yeah, I think Doom 2 Enhanced was pretty much the best way to play it at the time. So nowadays you can pick up Doom 1 and 2 Remastered and Enhanced, and that version includes even more levels and includes all the benefits from Doom 2 Enhanced as well. So that version came out in 2024, last year. But yeah, anyways, for 2019, I think this was probably the best way to play Doom 2 at the time. So you gotta put it in here because Doom 2 is such an all-time great FPS game. So why not? Okay, so number 17, I have kind of an old-school style first-person shooter called Medieval. So Medieval was pretty cool because really you can see the influences from classic dark fantasy first-person shooters like Heretic and Hexen. Except it's done in like the graphics are still kind of pixelated-ish, but also it looks a little bit more modern looking at the same time. So I don't know how they did that. It's like pixelated yet also modern at the same time. So it's interesting. But yeah, it's got this fast-paced style to it. It's got this dark fantasy vibe. So fans of Heretic and Hexen will definitely like yeah, a Medieval. So I really enjoyed playing a Medieval. It's really just felt like a classic 90s first-person shooter game updated for modern times, really. So yeah, I mean, it really did feel like Hexen and Heretic updated for modern times is probably what I'm trying to say. To be honest, I believe, was it Apogee that tried to do this themselves? Or 3D Realms or someone, they tried to do this, kind of make a spiritual successor to Heretic and Hexen. Called Graven, and I played Graven as well, and that's kind of its own thing, but I felt like a Medieval kind of hit it better, basically. Like the homage to Heretic and Hexen, I think a Medieval hit it better than Graven did. That's just me. So, had a good time with this one. Yeah, very fun, and again, if you're a fan of 90s first-person shooters, you'll definitely enjoy a Medieval. It's very fun to play. I think they did a really good job trying to get the aesthetic of Heretic and Hexen here. Like updated for modern times, really. Okay, so number 16 is a very unique game. It's called 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. So I think what makes this game unique is the fact that it combines two very different genres together in one game. So on one hand, you have this adventure game part of it, which is actually, this is kind of a time travel thing as well. So you go back and forth between different time periods in the school, and the art style looks very cool as well because it's almost like, yeah, it just looks very unique. Yeah, like it's almost like cut out, but also very vivid at the same time. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this art style, but it's done really well and very unique at the same time. It just looks really beautiful. So this is the adventure game aspect, the adventure like gameplay part of this game, I guess. Is you go around talking to people. Yeah, so this part of the game where you're walking around talking to people is kind of like an adventure game because you go around and you also have to do some investigating and thinking as well. And it also has some sci-fi elements because there's time travel stuff going on as well. And I do like the aesthetics of this part of the game. Like I said, it's really unique. So this part of the game is just one aspect of the game though, because once you get to the other side of the game, which turns into a totally different genre, this now becomes a strategy game. So yeah, the other part of the game is defending the city using these mechs. So you have mech robots defending the city from aliens and stuff. So this part of the game just feels like a completely different game, but it's the same game. So that's why it's very interesting. Like, I have such a hard time classifying 13 Sentinels. Like, because the genres are so different. It's like you're playing a side-scrolling adventure game, and then when you're going to this area and you combat against the aliens, now you're controlling mechs in a strategy tactical game. So it's like two totally different genres combined together in one game. I just thought it's so interesting because this part of the game looks totally different from the other part. So yeah, you have like this aspect of the game, which is like, oh, you're going around, beautiful artwork, talking to people, typical adventure game setting, and then yeah, and then there's this other part of the game where it's like a totally different game. I mean, it's like a tactical strategy game now. We're using mechs to defend your city against aliens. So I don't know how to categorize this. It's just a unique experience. So that's why I had to put 13 Sentinels on my list. I just felt like it's a truly unique game. I've never played anything like this, where you're combining almost two completely different styles of gameplay together. So yeah, it's very interesting. Alright, so number 15 is Duck Game. And this game originally came out in 2014 for the PC, but this is the Nintendo Switch re-release that came out in, or the Nintendo Switch port, I should say, that came out in 2019. Yeah, it's just a fun game to play with friends, honestly. I know it's simple.
What the hell? I got... Dude!
Yeah, it's simple because it's like, yeah, you just play as a bunch of ducks with weapons flying around and stuff. Yeah, it was just fun to play with my friend here, or just with anyone.
That took a while.
Actually, just, yeah, it's a fun game. You can play with up to 4 people, and deceptively simple, I would say, because like all you do is you start as a bunch of ducks. You got some weapons and stuff on the field, and it's very fast paced, so you can like easily just kill someone, and you can kill yourself quite easily in the game as well. And it just ends up being very funny because of that. Just like, yeah, all the different weapons and items that you can get, and yeah, it's just very fun and very funny. Yeah, so I say just it's a fun game to play. Yeah, I think we had some fun playing this with my friend here. So, anyways, it is a simple game, yes, but I think once you play with friends or just anyone online, yeah, this is really meant to be a multiplayer game. It's pretty fun to play. Yeah, funny. you end up killing yourself so easily in this game as well. Oh man. Okay, so number 14 is Cuphead. This game originally came out in 2017, but this is the 2019 Switch port. So yes, it counts, right? I count re-releases and ports and remasters and stuff. Yeah, what can I say about Cuphead? This is a very unique looking game. Basically, there's no other game that looks like it. It looks like a Disney cartoon, an old school Disney cartoon, I should say. It's like, it looks like a Disney cartoon from the 1940s. Yeah, it's just very unique. So I think the art style and aesthetic definitely makes this unique. Also, the old school style gameplay. It's an old school type shooter game. So if you think about Contra and those type of games, that's really what this game is trying to be like. You can play co-op, of course, which makes it more fun. But really, this game's trying to get that old school shooter, run and gun shooter type of game. And it has the appropriate difficulty as well, because it's just as difficult as those old school shooter games are. So yeah, if you guys have played Contra, those types of games before, it's probably just as difficult as those games are. And it's fun to play with a friend. And the art style just makes it all the more interesting. There's really no other game that I've played that has looked like this. Yeah, it's just an absolutely unique game. So it's quite yeah, quite surprising and impressive actually, because this came from an indie studio. So I don't know how they got the art style done for this game. It's just like, yeah, it's incredible looking. So yeah, again, no other game looks like this, and the fact that the gameplay is so old school is pretty cool too, and you can play with friends and stuff. So overall, I have to have Cuphead on my list. It's just one of the best indie games, I think, in my opinion. Really well done. Okay, 13's a JRPG I've talked about many times to people about how underrated and overlooked it was, but Saga Scarlet Grace Ambitions. This is an expanded release of Saga Scarlet Grace. I think that one originally came out in 2015-2016, but yeah, this one came out for the Switch in 2019, and probably one of my favorite Saga games. I think this and Saga Frontier 2 are probably my favorite Saga games. But yeah, what makes this game special to me is first the aesthetic. When you're walking around in the world, it looks like you're in a pop-up book, which is really unique. And then when you're doing combat, it's also pretty unique as well, because you have to use up a certain amount of points per turn. So each turn stars actually. Each turn you get an extra star, and more powerful attacks take up more stars. So you gotta plan, you gotta have some strategy here. It's not like in other RPGs where you can do any attack as long as you have the MP for it. Nope, not in this one. In this one, you have to look at how many stars you have. That is determined by what turn you are on. And yeah, so it takes more strategy. And of course, using more powerful attacks, that means that other characters won't be able to use their attacks. So it's like, you either want to get a bunch of light attacks in from all characters, or you want to get some powerful attacks from certain characters in. So there's more strategy to this game. Also, like in other Saga games, you can recruit a whole bunch of people. I don't know, I lost track. At least like 50 different people you can recruit. Plus the story is more interesting than I thought, actually, as well. So I think it's a pretty overlooked JRPG. More people should check it out. Yeah, Saga Scarlet Grace Ambitions. You can see kind of the unique art style of this game that I was talking about as well. It's kind of like a pop-up book when you're on the world map here. So, anyways, more people should check it out. Saga Scarlet Grace Ambitions. Really one of my favorite JRPGs that year. Hence why it's on this list. Okay, so number 12 is one of my favorite Tales games. It's Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. The Definitive Edition came out in 2019. The original game, I believe, came out in 2008 for the Xbox 360. Because I remember this because I had an Xbox 360 back then. And I remember this being one of the most anticipated JRPGs for that system. Because it's like, usually Xbox doesn't even get that many JRPGs, right? So to have a JRPG at the time that was exclusive to the Xbox 360, it was exclusive for like a few years, I think. That was actually pretty fun, pretty interesting. And Tales of Vesperia ended up being probably one of the best Tales games, just in terms of character and story and charm and everything. So this was the first Tales game I ever played. I've always have a special place in my heart for Tales of Vesperia because it was the very first Tales games I played and still continues to be one of my favorites. Yeah, just love the characters, the chemistry right between the main characters, and combat is also classic Tales as well, where it's kind of like semi-real-time here with the combat. Yeah, the beginning, of course, you gotta rescue the princess type girl. Yeah, and I like these little cutscenes, these little like support conversations that go on too. That's a very Tales thing. Yep. So, yeah, anyways, characters and story and the charm of Tales of Vesperia. It's still one of my top 5, one of my top 5 Tales games. Yeah, I have to say. Is not number 1 necessarily. I don't think it's like the best Tales game, but it's definitely my top 5. And, yeah, still fun to play to this day. I'll always have good memories playing Tales of Vesperia. Definitive Edition is the best way to play it now. Number 11 is Disco Elysium. One of the most notable Western RPGs that come out in recent years, I'd say. It's done in a traditional CRPG style, which is like isometric, I would say. Yeah, kind of reminiscent of the game that obviously it was inspired by, which is Planescape Torment. And you can see that influence because Planescape Torment was very narrative driven. It wasn't very combat heavy. And Disco Elysium is not combat heavy at all. It's definitely a narrative driven RPG. And yeah, it's got the narrative and like the narrator as well, the different dialogue options, and yeah, the whole storyline and everything of this game is definitely something to be experienced. So definitely not like a cheerful game or anything. It's actually kind of a miserable game in terms of the narrative, but still, I think still worth it to play. I mean, there's a reason why it's so highly acclaimed. Now, I wouldn't put it necessarily in my top tier of RPGs. I know a lot of people do. It definitely was like pretty high up in my list of Western RPGs. But still, I didn't put it like top tier necessarily in my list, but it's definitely near the top tier for me. So Disco Elysium is, I think it's if you're a Western RPG fan and you prefer narrative instead of combat, definitely check it out because, yeah, it's one of those great all-time writing games. I know the writers of this game are definitely influenced by Planescape Torment, which is also one of my favorite all-time games for Western RPGs as well. Yeah, definitely check it out. If you love Planescape Torment, one of the great all-time Western RPGs, at least in terms of narrative-driven RPGs, then check out Disco Elysium. It's really just as good, or almost as good in my opinion. Okay, starting off my top 10 is World End Syndrome. It's a visual novel that's, well, it's both a dating simulator and a horror visual novel, believe it or not. It's a combination of both because it starts off in the beginning as more of a dating sim, which makes it kind of lighthearted, but then later on it becomes like a horror. So it's kind of like Doki Doki Literature Club in that respect. So you take in the first half of the game, I guess, just getting to know people. It's part of the school club here in this quaint Japanese seaside town. So the first half of the game is pretty slice of life, I would say. So it's pretty lighthearted in this earlier part of the game, but then as you progress through the paths of each of these characters, like each of the routes of these characters, I guess, then the horror vibe kind of sets in more, especially of course when you get to the endings. So yeah, what can I say about this game? It's a pretty similar vibe to Doki Doki Literature Club, I'd say, which is, yeah, it's interesting, right? You have the dating sim aspects, which is nice, but then you have the twist, right? And eventually becomes a horror twist. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's worth playing this game if you like that kind of style, basically. If you like to play dating sims, but also if you also like the horror twists as well, like this part right here, and yeah, then yeah, check it out. I think it's basically, if you like Doki Doki Literature Club, you'll probably like World End Syndrome as well. It's the dating sim horror twist. Okay, number 9 is Our World Is Ended. This is a visual novel that's very reminiscent of Steins Gate in many ways. Like, it has a similar, doesn't have the time travel mechanic, but it has something similar, which is the VR mechanic to it. And I think that's pretty interesting because this came out in 2019, right? So VR was already kind of a thing, although it wouldn't really explode until, well, I wouldn't say VR really exploded, but it definitely became even more popular when COVID happened, because people were stuck at home, and then more people were playing VR games after that. So this game, I guess, kind of foreshadowed that a bit. But yeah, you play as these bunch of otaku, like perverts, basically. And yeah, like, you have like a kind of a similar vibe to Steins Gate. Just like, yeah, like I said, instead of the time travel mechanic, instead now you have the VR simulation mechanic instead, where you go into the VR game in the VR world, then you get stuck in some areas, and yeah, sometimes you see like some creepy monsters in here. You try to run away from them. Oh man, this big guy right here, like, I'm just gonna say this fat guy right here. Yeah, he's so weird. He says some just crazy stuff. But yeah, you go into the VR world and you see like some kind of crazy monsters and stuff. You have this girl that's basically the Mayu equivalent in this game that everyone like falls over in love with, because she's so cutesy and naive. So yeah, it's pretty much, I'm not gonna say like a clone exactly, like it is not exactly a ripoff of Steins Gate, but it's very similar in the premise. Just instead of time travel, you have well, more pervy stuff like this, and then more of yeah, instead of the time travel, you have the VR aesthetic. I mean VR gameplay mechanic. So yeah, you get stuck in the VR, but you can go into the VR game as well, and yeah, it's kind of like going into a different timeline in Steins Gate, I would say. So yeah, it's not a ripoff of Steins Gate, but it's very similar. Just instead of going to that alternate timeline, going back and forth, you're now going into the VR world back and forth. Okay, so number 8 is Death Stranding. Yeah, this game is definitely very unique, and that's not surprising coming from Hideo Kojima. It's, how can I explain it? It's an open world sci-fi horror where you play as this delivery guy, basically, that also has a baby strapped to him. So yeah, it's kind of hard to exactly classify, but it's a whole bunch of different genres put together, essentially. Yeah, Death Stranding was great. It's a fresh, innovative title. It's an original IP. Yeah, and it really, I think, actually this came out right before COVID, so it's like kind of, it's kind of like foreshadowing the fact that basically in a year's time everyone would be like, yeah, would be getting like, everyone would be in the middle of a pandemic, and yeah, this is a game where people get these diseases and stuff, right?
Now I'm delivering.
So it's kind of foreshadowing a lot of things. Yeah,
it's very cinematic.
Yeah, it's a very cinematic game. Open world, and you have the sci-fi and horror vibes to it as well. I mean, it is a sci-fi type of world. It's post-apocalyptic, I should say. Yeah, it's post-apocalyptic, and also it's got a horror vibe to it because you have these invisible monsters called beached things, so you gotta avoid them. At the same time, yeah, it's post-apocalyptic. It's like people are like, yeah, basically humanity is almost wiped out. So anyways, it's a very unique and original title. So it's also weird in a lot of ways. That's how what Kojima is like. His games are like that. But you got to give it props for just being kind of like an original, unique game. So, not too many.
Alright, anyways,
not too many AAA games where you can say that the premise, the setting, everything is like pretty unique.
Shit.
Number 7 is Resident Evil 2
That
Remake.
pretty much would have killed me if this was real life.
Yeah, so Resident Evil 2 Remake, of course, is a remake of one of the greatest horror games
Kind of
ever,
hint for the
Resident Evil 2.
combination, no keys.
So why Resident Evil 2 I
missed.
think is such a great game is because Resident Evil, the original, I think was focused more on the psychological horror aspects before
Not really sure what to do
before
here.
Resident Evil became too combat focused.
Such a remake of,
Resident Evil 2 was just a refinement of Resident Evil in every way. It's considered to be probably one of the best. Like Resident Evil 4
so
and 2
now
are
I
probably
think I
considered
know.
yeah, the best Resident Evil games for a reason, right? 2 probably captures more of that pure horror aesthetic, and it strikes a really good balance. 4 I found was a little bit too combat heavy. So 4 is when it really started becoming like more combat heavy in my opinion, and I get that 4 is a great game too, but I personally didn't like 4
No
as much
spare
as 2.
keys. I don't know how to find.
I think 2
spare-
captures the balance between horror and combat very well.
D.
So you still get the psychological horror vibe still in
D,
2.
E.
And this remake is such a great way to play 2, right?
It has to be here.
Yeah, so sometimes you do solve some
There we
stuff
go.
here. But
Uh,
I do think that
immediately
2 is
zombie
such a great
sounds.
balance between the psychological horror aspect and some combat as well, because you do have to kill the zombies still. And yeah, 2 Remake has done really well. It totally, I think, upgrades the graphics and everything of the original 2. Of course, the original 2 came out in the PS1 era, so it's going to look pretty dated if you just re-release 2. So yeah, the Remake is
Finally,
probably
man,
the best
so
way to
many-
play it. Getting the graphics really up to date with modern style graphics. So yeah, definitely 2 Remake is a very well done remake. Even if it's not exactly like the original 2, but in my opinion, I like 2 Remake a lot, and I think it really captures the spirit of the original 2. So yeah, one of the greatest Resident Evil games. And by extension, one of the best and greatest horror games, period. Okay, so at number 6 is Fire Emblem Three Houses. This is considered by many to be one of the best, if not the best, Fire Emblem game. To me, it's not my personal favorite, but definitely I would say it's up there, like probably top 4 or 5. Yeah, I know this Fire Emblem Three Houses is very popular because people really liked having the social relationship building. Basically, they put a lot of aspects of the Persona games and mixed it with Fire Emblem, which I have some mixed feelings about because, like, yeah, it's like not a pure Fire Emblem game, but it's just yeah, it's Fire Emblem mixed with some Persona style social relationships and stuff like that. So it's a different game, it's expanded as well. So yeah, it's basically Fire Emblem with expanded gameplay.
Nice.
A lot of people like that. For me, I think it's not my favorite Fire Emblem game. I will still put it pretty high, which is why it's in my top 10 games of 2019. But yeah, I think my favorite Fire Emblem game is still Awakening, because that's the game really that I love Fire Emblem even before that, but that game is like, man, I played Awakening for such a long time, and I love that game. Sacred Stones is up there, then the Super Nintendo ones, Thracia and Holy War are up there as well. Yeah, I would say Fire Emblem The Three Houses is probably, yeah, my top 3 or 4. Yeah, it's pretty high up there, even if I don't like the Persona social relationship as much as other people. But it's still, I agree, it expands the Fire Emblem experience a lot. You still have the classic RPG combat of Fire Emblem, right? So you have the tactical RPG strategy aspect here. We got to move your units and everything. But I think because of the Persona social relationship aspect brought into the game, you kind of feel like that much more connection with each character. Although I still feel like the characters' personalities are still not as...
Commander.
The personalities of the characters still hasn't grown on me as Awakening characters have. But yeah, I understand that basically in your off time, you just go around the school campus and talk to people and build relationships and stuff. And you have a schedule where you follow the schedule every day and do something different. So there's the time management aspect of this game as well. So yeah, it's like an expanded way to play Fire Emblem. know, a lot of people like that. So yeah, for me, not my favorite Fire Emblem game, but definitely still my top 3 or 4, I'd say. Still a very good game. Okay, so number 5 is one of my favorite visual novels ever, Alcana 4 Rhythms Across the Blue. Why I love this visual novel so much is because, like, compared to a lot of other visual novels, like, it's not just a dating sim. I mean, yeah, you can date girls, kind of. I mean, there is a romantic side to this visual novel too, but that's not the real main point of this visual novel. It's actually a little bit more serious, where you're basically there's this fictional sport in this game called Flying Circus, and it's just called FC in this game. And yeah, you're playing as this guy who used to be an FC champ, and he's coaching this team, mostly girls and this one guy. And it's actually very serious. Like, you take your job seriously, and you try to coach them. Even though there is lighthearted moments, of course, in the game, it's still lighthearted. But yeah, like the sport is like very serious, and they take it seriously, and you train them basically to compete in these tournaments, and you get into the gritty details of how the sport works. And for a fictional sport, they actually go into a lot of depth into how the sport works and the strategies, the different strategies and techniques in this sport. So it almost feels like a real sport because the way they talk about it is so in-depth. And you really makes you want to like cheer for them and root for them, right? So yeah, like this Flying Circus sport, they go so into depth and so in detail, and they're so passionate about it. So yeah, it's almost like a serious visual novel in the sense that it's not that much devoted to dating and stuff. It's still very lighthearted, of course. So they still make jokes and everything, but at the same time, they're very serious about the sport, and it goes really in depth about it, into a lot of detail. And I mean, you still have like perverted moments like this. There's still that, but yeah, for the most part, I really enjoyed it because like I love how in depth they go into the sport, and they have tournaments and stuff like that. And yeah, you're mostly focused on coaching the girls, even though there's all these like lighthearted moments and humor as well. But I like how it's not just another perverted visual novel where you're like some pervy main character. I mean, the main character in this visual novel, he's not really that much of a pervert, which is actually kind of refreshing. You know, when you consider all the visual novels out there where the main guy's a hentai perv, this guy's actually not that much of a hentai perv. So he's actually pretty serious about what he's doing. So yeah, but he's also like got some humor to him as well. So it's all good, you know. Yeah. Anyways, I like how in depth they go into it with the fictional sport in this game. It really made me immersed in it. Okay, number 4 is another visual novel. This one's pretty famous. It's Steins Gate Elite. So Steins Gate Elite is essentially an enhanced version of Steins Gate, which, by the way, this game came out a few years back, like before 2019. It's just this is the PC release. So the PC release did come out in 2019 worldwide. So that's why it counts for this list here. The original Steins Gate was released way before, and then it got a translation a bit after. I played it first on PS Vita, actually. Yeah, I played it first on PS Vita. I really like the sci-fi vibe of the visual novel, the time travel aspect of the game, where you can like send text to, basically sending text to yourself in the past. But for this, and if it alters the past enough, it will switch you into a different time, like what is it called, diffractor field or something like that. Yeah, it'll I think it's a tractor field. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So if you send text to yourself in the past, it'll change the future, right? Yeah, so
Tenoji is actually
if it changes it enough, you'll get sent to another tractor field, which totally changes the future. And like there's like moments in the game where it's like you really keep wanting to change the future, but like some events are too hard to change. Like this main character that this main scientist girl, Makis Chris, she's basically the co-protagonist of this game here. Yeah, and then the other girl in this game that you're in love with is Mayu. So really kind of choosing between Chris and Mayu as kind of your love interest. Yeah, so anyways, this game has a bit of everything. It has romance, it has sci-fi, it has humor, the time travel stuff, a lot of like semi-nerdy explanations of scientific concepts. So, yeah, I got Zord in this game. The Elite version basically takes in scenes from the anime. So the original version had just kind of just portraits. Yeah, the original version kind of had portraits here, which I guess is still nice in its own way. It's still charming in its own way. The Elite version replaces the portraits with scenes from the anime instead. So, yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say it's totally enhanced because some people actually prefer the portraits instead. Like, the portraits were done in kind of a unique watercolor style. So the art and aesthetic of the original Steins Gate was really kind of unique because it was done in kind of this visual watercolor style. You replace that with the anime, and it's almost like an interactive anime in that sense. So yeah, I mean, it's for better or for worse. You know, some people prefer this, some people like the original watercolor style. But anyways, for me, Steins Gate. Either way, Steins Gate is one of those all-time great sci-fi visual novels that everyone who's into sci-fi visual novels should check out. Yeah, it's definitely an all-time great one. And of course, the main character is a perf because he has to be in these kind of games, right? Okay, so number 3 is Wargroove. Wargroove is an indie game that I think originally came out for PC. This is the Switch version that was released in 2019. Yeah, so I'm talking about the Switch version, this one. But essentially what it is I want to say a rip-off of Advance Wars. It's not exactly a rip-off of Advance Wars. It's clearly inspired by Advance Wars, but it's not exactly the same because instead of like the military guys, you have more of a fantasy concept. So instead of like building like military soldiers and tanks and stuff like that, you're building more fantasy stuff. Like you got like here you can build the dog, a Shiba Inu, Thunder Bear, right? You got like bears riding horses, I think, trebuchets. So yeah, you got different units than Advance Wars basically. You got ballista. So you here got like Revenant, which is some kind of giant creature. Dread Knight. I think you can build dragons in this game as well. So me and my friend play this game for hours and hours. It's they can last quite a long time when you play against a friend. Yeah, but it's cool that you can, and I like the the tactical strategy of this game, and I liked Advance Wars a lot. Advance Wars is one of my favorite tactical games. So the fact that you can have essentially not a clone of Advance Wars, but a game very similar to Advance Wars in Wargroove. Yeah, that's what made me enjoy it so much. So we play this with a friend. You can just play for hours and hours. Like it goes back and forth. Keep building units and the tactical aspect and everything. So man, this game took like 4 hours for us to play. Wow. So anyways, it has to be one of my favorite games of 2019 because I played this so much, and just the tactical aspect of everything, building up your units and then attacking, and then going back and forth.
Like you have like the perfect match of guys.
Yeah, so it's just a great game. If you guys like tactical games and especially Advance Wars, then you'll like Wargroove basically. Okay, number 2 is Outer Wilds. Honestly, this is pretty close to number 1. I was having a tough time choosing between this and the number 1 pick. But Outer Wilds, not to be confused with Outer Worlds. I already talked about Outer Worlds. That's the Obsidian RPG. No, Outer Wilds to me is a much more innovative game. This is not like an RPG. It's like a sci-fi adventure game, I would say, but with puzzles. Yeah, it's like a puzzle adventure. Basically, you start off in this galaxy or solar system, fictional galaxy and solar system, and there's just a lot of mysteries in this galaxy that you explore, and it's really just about exploration.
Is this what I tried to land on before?
You start off just leaving your planet, and then you can go into all these other planets. Each of these planets kind of have their own mysteries and secrets. Eventually, I think the goal of this game is to find the heart of the eye of the universe. And in order to find the eye of the universe, you have to do a very specific sequence of things in this universe. You have to go to each planet in a specific way and grab some certain items and activate stuff. So there is actually an ending to this game, but you have to play it quite a bit to know what that is. And the other thing is there's a time limit, right? So I believe after I don't know how many minutes, but you have a certain amount of time before the sun goes supernova, and the time loop resets, and you have to start over again. Yeah, so there's that little supernova that happens. So basically, you have a certain amount of time to figure out what to do before the sun goes supernova, and you have to restart at the beginning and start over again. But each time I find, like, when you play this game, there's different mysteries and different things to explore. You know, you go into each planet, and it's so interesting, right? There's like black holes in some of them, and the dark bramble here, like there's actually these giant anglerfish, I would say. So like that's something. Like look at this one. If you go in here, like this is actually where it could be even horror-ish. We have like giant anglerfish in this one. So like in here. So anyways, I love playing Outer Wilds. I think this was truly one of the games that this and Subnautica was like the two games where I felt like, wow, this should be VR, by the way. Subnautica is already, but I feel like Outer Wilds should have a VR version. Like, man, it really gave me a sense of exploration and mystery and wonder, basically, in this entire universe. It's like, yeah, there's so much mystery and wonder in this universe, and it really made me want to explore more and more. So overall, just a great game. Really one of my all-time favorites. So yeah, Outer Wilds. Again, not to be confused with Outer Worlds. I think Outer Worlds is a good game. Outer Wilds is a great game. An all-time great game in my opinion. Okay, so number one is another visual novel. I mean, 2019 really was a year of visual novels for me. I played a lot of visual novels, great ones that year. So A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. Unwieldy title, I know, but originally this was a Japanese-only PC-98 game that got a remake and translated officially and released to the West. And that's how I played it. I actually originally played it for the Switch back in 2019, but the PC version also came out the same year. What it is basically you play as this perv hentai guy. I mean, that's how it is in these visual novels. But that's not the main point. You talk to basically a bunch of characters, and you try to get these gems. And you had to get these jewels, actually, or gems, in a certain order. Once you get them in a certain order, you can actually travel to a different dimension, essentially. And also, each of these gems can be used to time travel as well. So you can say that, oh, it's kind of like Steins Gate in that sense. Yeah, it has time travel in it, but it's actually more interactive than Steins Gate, because you have the sequences where you click around and you can kind of investigate more. And basically, on your downtime, when you're not talking to people, you can move around. That's something you can't do in Steins Gate. So you can say that the time travel perspective, that aspect of this game is kind of similar to Steins Gate, where you can time travel, but the gameplay is more to it than that. That you can click around more, you can travel around to different areas. Yeah, that's something you can't do in Steins Gate. And using one of these gems will bring you back to another point in the game, and you have to kind of do that because yeah, you basically have to go into certain paths and use the gems at certain times in order to go back into the game to go to a different path. So if you do it in the right way, you eventually find all the different gems.
Why she's here,
yeah, basically it'll get you to the epilogue, which is basically another timeline or another dimension. And then there's another part of the game that starts. The epilogue is really just kind of another part of the game. You think that's the ending, but no, it's like another whole part of the game. So yeah, I really love this game. I love the first, yeah, this game setting. I love the sci-fi setting, the time travel mechanics in this game, even the pervy main character at times. Yeah, of course, there's also like romantic stuff that you can do in this game too. It's originally a hentai game, right? So yeah, obviously that's been censored for this Western release. But yeah, yeah, I love the setting, and the music is so good too. I love the music of it's done really, really well, and the mystery and the intrigue of what happens in this game. Yeah, I loved all that. Yeah, I loved it. Kind of the gameplay. It's like Steins Gate, but with more gameplay, basically. And I love Steins Gate. So, yeah. What can I say? I really love this game. I actually wish they had.
Right. So you guys may have noticed that.
I wish it had the ability to change between the new art and the old art, because I actually like the PC-98 version art style as well. It just looks really charming. It has a 90s Japanese art style, But yeah, even so, love this game. Even going to the epilogue, and the epilogue being another section of the game. yeah, that's really cool and fun. And I love this game so much, and I actually played it so much that I can do a speed run of the game into the epilogue. I think I uploaded a speed run basically. I just knew exactly what to do and which paths to go and everything. So tells you how much I love this game. Yeah, you know, A Girl with Chance Love, definitely not too well known, but I think yeah, it's an all-time visual novel for me. I loved it. So that's my favorite game of 2019. Let me know what you guys think of my list, and again, very personal list, but let me know what you guys think. And as always, yeah, thanks for watching.